Hello everyone, welcome to Soulfire Studios, and this is part 2 of my Lego Daizyujin or Dino Megazord review. This is the detail, articulation, and accessory portion of the video. So without further ado, let's begin with detail, shall we? So let's start with details. Details in here are pretty nice. I love how I designed it, even though it's been changed. You can see the feet. You'll notice that this panel is right here on the Triceratops, so the saber-tooth tiger doesn't have that. There's also these gray panels on the sides. The Mastodon M symbols on the shoulder pads are much blockish than whitish, angular in original. The chest piece, which had the wings fan out a little bit. The head, which has those horns, which are more straight out than angled downwards. Also, you may have noted, if you don't notice that already, these side panels more look similar to the Rescue X1 Robo. That's because I actually used it for the paneling. Just added some Mighty Morphin designs. Now it's more similar to the original in every single transformation way, such as the tail folding up, the cannon doing at the back. So yeah, I have nothing to say other than the fact that I want to see this in a movie. I originally even said this on my original version, where it originally had the tail like flat down and the giant cannons. So yeah, that's it for detail. Let's move on to articulation. Before we move on to articulation, I forgot to mention that this version kind of feels similar to the DX Robo Universe version of the figure. Maybe it's just me. Leave your comments down below if it really is similar to the DX Robo Universe figure in some ways. So for articulation, he can't move his head, although he can move up and down for most of the transformation. His arms can fully rotate and can move in and out. Shoulder pads can rotate and they can also move in and out, but I advise not to do that, because if you do it like this, it will probably break this part since it's fragile. There's also a bicep swivel, and there's a tiny little elbow bend, like right here, but it's there. No hand rotation, however. There's also no waist rotation, because for obvious reasons. You can barely see it, but there's two ball joints that are locking in the waist, so I added a little locking system to prevent the waist from being too loose. And you can also see how the arms are tucked in. Now, I'm not going to articulate the legs since it's the same thing as the T-Rex, but it does have a knee bend on both Zords. However, the Triceratops doesn't do much. You can move these panels out to kind of make it work, but if you remove it entirely, it will actually work. So this is how it works actually without it. It doesn't work all the way since this panel right here is blocking the way. That's not the issue for saber-tooth tiger, since it had no issue when articulating the knees, so I might have to fix that issue later on. Anyways, both ankles can kind of rotate, they can move side to side, and they can pivot. Same thing for the saber-tooth tiger. So yeah, that's it for articulation portion of this video. Now let's move on to the accessories. First up, we have the Mastodon shield. It's mostly the same, articulates in the trunk, although it's supposed to be flattened down in order to make it work. Now, it's more similar to the Flame Toys' connection, as it only connects to it right here instead of the hand. So it doesn't look like an elephant's shaped teacup. The tank mode will plug it here. I mean, it can also plug in there, the T-Rex head, but it also can plug it here. You can also fold the trunk if you have to. It looks kind of weird, but it does the job, okay? it's not really meant to be there. I mean, he never used the shield in the show, so it kind of makes sense. So let's move on. One thing to note is, unlike the original version, the cannons do not become guns nor a jetpack. This is totally based on the original with my own take on it. So there won't be any guns to this Megazord. Anyways, let's move on to the second weapon. So our second weapon is Mega Power Sword. Ching! Ching! Yes, I'm talking about the Power Sword. It's not pink like the original, even though there is an update. Even though the updated version of the original, it's not pink. But what's even weirder, it's now smaller on the handle. It's very simplified, but it does the job, however. So I'm gonna take that. You can plug it to any of it, both of his hands, like this. Now, it's kind of like a Super Sentai brick in my opinion, because you know how the legs are super tight, so they're kind of static for some reason. So he can only do like basic Super Sentai pose. He can't do much, but if I can work it around somehow, then there will be posing, or I mean posability on this Megazord. You can pair it up with the shield, but I rather preferred it this way. Yeah, I can't, because I really like the small body with big arm proportions. It kind of works on this, but maybe it will work on other Megazords, just like the Rescue X1 Robo. So, yeah. So yeah, overall, the Daizyujin or the Dino Megazord is pretty much my favorite. Even though despite the flaws it had on this version, it's still lovable as the original. If I can get some more green parts and also some more black and gold and yellow, I could possibly create the Dragon Caesar or the Dragon Zord. However, I don't think I can make it compatible with this Megazord. Although, there is some ports right there. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and peace. And it's morphin' time!